Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. So a little bit sorry for the little bit delay due to network issues. So we know we are facing a great challenge for the last 3 or 4 months, and number of COVID patients are increasing day by day, and that's why prevention of the new infection becomes the utmost important. And we know that diabetes patients are at increased risk of having serious illness. So we shall try to understand what precautionary measures diabetes patient can take, and if they acquire COVID, how they can keep their blood sugar under control so that they do not develop serious illness. And so first of all, what is the let's discuss some question. So what is diabetes patient are at having increased risk of acquiring COVID? The answer is no. So actually incidence of COVID in diabetes as well as non-diabetes patient, if we see the incidence rate, then it is not much different. So chance of acquiring COVID infection in diabetics and non-diabetics are almost equal. But hello, hello, হয়েছে চলছে চলছে হুম। But remember that if diabetes patient acquire COVID, then chance of developing critical illness and chance of developing chance of having ICU care, chance of mortality, they increases in diabetes patient. That's why in diabetes patient, the preventive measures have to be taken more carefully, more stringently, and we have to support them. If diabetes patients are present in your home, ensure that they take all the safety measures, all the preventive measures, so that diabetes patient can prevent acquiring the COVID infection as far as possible. Next, so what are the precautionary measures? So these precautionary measures are same for all. That is hand washing, hand hygiene, and maintaining distance with others, at least 6 feet distance or 2 meter distance. That can vary because research are coming out every day, and newer data are coming every day. So far now, 2 meter distance as far as possible it should be maintained for all diabetic as well as non-diabetic patients. But hand washing is important, and remember, we can prevent them by taking care of our own immunity also. And immunity booster is that is used rampantly nowadays for by the patients, but or normal healthy subjects also. But actually you have to remember that if we take balanced diet from the very beginning, we have a habit of taking balanced diet, doing exercise daily, then immunity booster will not be of much added help. If we are already a person who have been engaged in bad exercise practice, bad eating practice, then suddenly taking immunity booster for a few days will not help much. So balanced diet, balanced nutrition, we have to take protein, carbohydrate, fat, and as well as minerals in adequate amount. And that can be obtained only by if we use multiple vegetables, multiple fruits, different plants together. As well as we have to take fish, egg, meat, chicken, etc. accordingly as per the adequate amount. So remember, nothing excess is actually good. So mineral intake, vitamin intake, take it in moderate amount. And but remember, if you have taken balanced diet, balanced food, and new vegetables, plants in adequate amount, then extra addition of these vitamin supplements may not be necessary, even in diabetic patient also. And remember, blood sugar control is most important. I have mentioned that diabetes patient require ICU care. They may have increased mortality rate, but that is present only if diabetes is not controlled. But if diabetes is controlled, then chance of developing serious illness due to COVID is less. And so maintaining blood sugar under strict control, it is important. Strict means so that we do not have hypoglycemia risk also. So, so our target in the patients who need home care, those patients who need home quarantine, or even if the asymptomatic patients who are in the home for the treatment of the COVID, for after acquiring COVID, those patients who are stable, they require their blood sugar should be controlled, fasting below 110 and postprandial below 180. So what are the general cares? So I mentioned that balanced diet is at most important. Vitamin supplements may help, but that should not hinder you to take balanced diet. And vitamin supplements actually provide a false security that my immunity is boosted, but actually that is not the case. We have to take balanced diet, balanced nutrition, and as well as do exercise to boost up our immunity. And as well as regarding the question of the vitamin B complex, C, D, E, zinc. So multiple patients are showing me that they are taking all this. So should they continue or not? It is difficult to answer should they continue or not, but it is actually not needed. So much thing at vitamins B, C, D, E, zinc, so much thing as a separate tablet is they are taking multiple tablets separately for boosting their immunity. That is actually not needed if you take balanced diet. So what is the rationality of this? Actually, most of the studies done so far, they do not show any benefit of taking this, because supplementing this will not prevent your chance of developing serious complications. Chance of acquiring infection is also not lessened. It can be done? So actually all the data are retrospective. Vitamin D. So most of the critical illness patient have been shown that they have low vitamin D level. Most of the patients than the average patients. But vitamin D supplementation, whether it will improve the survival or whether will shorten the recovery time, that is not proven. Same applies for the vitamin C also. Zinc has been postulated to prevent the activity of the virus in our body. They prevent they cause the membrane stabilization. That's why they prevent the viral attachment to our body. Also, they may inhibit the viral replication to some extent. So zinc may be helpful, but regarding the vitamin B complex, C, D, E, the data is not so much robust, but it has retrospectively it is found that vitamin D level is low in the seriously ill patient. That's why vitamin D, if it is maintained at adequate level, then that can prevent the chance of developing serious infection. That is a postulation. And vitamin C and vitamin B, if we can take it by the diet, it can prevent us from acquiring the serious illness. Chance of acquiring illness is acquiring disease will be there, but chance of we have to prevent the development of the serious illness. And regarding diabetes patient care, so as I mentioned that these patients, they require continuous treatment, but in the time when telehealth is advised to, and it is also very advantageous for the patients, they should they should be encouraged to use the telehealth app to consult their doctors, because in touch they must be in contact with the doctors all the time, because diabetes patients are at high risk, and I have mentioned that fasting sugar and pp sugar both should be under control, so that even if they acquire covid, they do not require icu care, or so that their chance of mortality is less also. So to control their sugar adequately, they must take help of the physician as by the telehealth app. And how they can use this by telehealth app, that is very simple. They can use just a smartphone, multiple apps are there, multiple, so that they can slot in do appointment to the doctor at their desired slot. And they have to do by it is preferable that they must buy a glucometer in their home, so that they know that blood sugar, how much is the blood sugar, whether they need more stricter control or whether they need less strict control. So it is not possible to do blood glucose monitoring all the day, but in type 1 diabetes patients who relies on insulin, they have if they acquire covid, they need of course multiple daily monitoring of the blood glucose. But in type 2 diabetes patient, if blood glucose is controlled by the oral glucose, then it is okay. But if they require insulin, then they also so that means the patients who are taking insulin, they need to do multiple times checking their blood glucose by the glucometer, and they should keep a record, and they should inform their doctors if there is significant increase or variation in their blood glucose level. So remember the target: fasting below 110, or in elderly patient it can be, we can relax it fasting below 130, and postprandial should be below 180, as well as so they should buy a glucometer and they should check it and they should record it. And remember, in the diabetes, if they acquire COVID also, if of course in any kinds of illness, there is anorexia, there is patient is not feeling well, so that's why they take less food intake. But remember, during this infection, blood glucose level rises, so don't avoid or don't skip the medicines for the blood diabetes. Rather, even insulin should not be skipped. Rather, we should encourage the patient to eat. Say small volume is multiple times to eat, because blood glucose control is essential, and taking blood glucose medicine for diabetes is also essential during this time, including insulin. And all drugs are not safe. It has been found that if you our blood glucose is well controlled, you have not acquired COVID, then it is okay. But if you have acquired COVID and you are in home, of course, when patient is hospitalized, then insulin is the safest mode of delivery, safest mode of treatment. But if patient is in home, we can avoid few drugs during COVID. Insulin is safe. Definitely, insulin is safe, but not all type 2 diabetes patients are on insulin. So, among the other anti-diabetic drug, DPP-4 inhibitor has been found to be safer, because DPP-4 inhibitor, it is not only present in the intestine, also present in the other areas, and including the lung epithelia also. And DPP-4 it has been found that DPP-4 enzyme, the dipeptidyl peptidase 4 enzyme, that is helping in the viral penetration. And so DPP-4 inhibitor has been postulated to prevent the activity of the virus in the lungs system, and it has been found that DPP-4 inhibitor actually preventing the development of there is less chance of developing ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome, or cytokine storm in the patients of the diabetes who have acquired COVID. So DPP-4 inhibitor like sitagliptin, vildagliptin, teneligliptin, we can give. And the advantage of DPP-4 inhibitor, it can be used in acute state also, and there is no wide fluctuation of the blood glucose. Metformin we can take, but ensure that patients are not dehydrated, because in presence of dehydration, metformin is contraindicated. It There is remote chance of development lactic acidosis, and also there can be chance of aggravation of the renal injury. Also, the other drugs which is most commonly used nowadays, for that is a wonder drug that can prevent the cardiovascular death also, that is SGLT2 inhibitor in diabetes. So in the COVID patient who are at home, if the hydration is very important, but if there is no one person supporting or looking after them, there is chance of dehydration. In during the dehydration, SGLT2 inhibitor can cause euglycemic ketosis. So chance of developing this euglycemic ketosis or diabetic ketoacidosis, that is more with SGLT2 inhibitor during this COVID infection. And there are multiple reports of this. So it is better to avoid SGLT2 inhibitor during this COVID infection. Better to avoid metformin if patient is dehydrated or already having some other medicines for other problems like nephropathy, renal injury, or the drugs, or already on diuretics. So metformin can be avoided. DPP-4 inhibitor plus insulin, that is a very good and safe approach to maintain the diabetes. Sulfonylurea also, there is increased risk of the hypoglycemia. So this time is important. So because we have to, if patient acquire COVID, then at least 2 weeks patient should remain in the home, and during this time monitoring of blood glucose is very important. And we have to prevent dehydration, we have to prevent wide fluctuation of the blood glucose. Pioglitazone can be used, but ensure that there is no heart failure. And other among the other drugs, sulfonylurea is not safe. We can use insulin. Even if you use, we can use the drugs which can have lowest risk of hypoglycemia. So during this infection, risk of hyperglycemia as well as hypoglycemia is more, because hyperglycemia can happen because patient may skip some of the drugs, and hypoglycemia happen because patient is skipping some meals. So don't skip meal, don't skip your drug, maintain is your schedule, maintain your drug schedule as well as food schedule as your normal days, taking some precautionary measures, and also prevent chance of spreading the infection. That is also a responsibility of the other members of the home also. So if you have a diabetes patient in your home, try to protect yourself also. So even if you are non-diabetic but you have a diabetic father or mother in home, protect yourself, maintain 6 feet distance, prevent gathering in market or any public transport as far as possible, because if you acquire infection, and that you can unknowingly you can spread it to your parents or other elderly members of your family, and in them the chance of, if the elderly person with diabetes develop COVID, then risk of development of the serious illness is far more. So to protect your elderly family member, you have to be very extra cautious. Cautious is not synonymous to panic. So, but you have to be cautious. Take the balanced diet daily. Take do daily regular exercise. Keep a blood pulse oximeter. That is also important in nowadays, because often there is a risk of hypoxia. Patient may not always perceive the symptoms, and that can actually, so low oxygen level below 94%, that indicates development of the lung injury, and we have to be very to consult the doctor as early as possible. Those patients may better to be hospitalized. So to understand what is the oxygen level, what is the hypoxic level, oxygen saturation level, to understand that pulse oximeter is essential, and also glucometer is essential, so that we can take measures even if, when patients there is significant hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia. So hypoglycemia, for prevention of hypoglycemia, patients are advised to take 15-gram glucose instantly. So the glucon D so anhydrous glucose, that is far more quick to resolve the hypoglycemia. So keep those in your home, and when you feel the symptoms of dizziness, vertigo, palpitation, sweating, take 15-gram glucose, wait for 15 minutes. If symptoms are not controlled or not resolved, then take another 15-gram glucose. So that is, we can treat hypoglycemia by them. And also in type 1 patients, or who having, or type 2 patients who are on insulin, chance of developing ketoacidosis is also more during this infection. So it is better to check the blood glucose level continuously, and continuously means every day. And if blood glucose level comes above 300 milligram per dl on 2 consecutive readings, then it is better to check ketone level also. Urine ketostatics is also available, and you can check whether there is any ketone body in urine, and if ketone is present, you have to be admitted, because there is chance of developing ketoacidosis. And ketoacidosis, remember, it may happen in even if your blood sugar is under control also, if you are all SGLT2 inhibitors. So that's why SGLT2 inhibitors are better to be avoided during this illness if you acquire COVID. Otherwise, you can continue. If your blood sugar is controlled, then you, of course, you can continue with your SGLT2 inhibitors. And regarding the supplements, I mentioned that zinc supplement is you can take, vitamin D supplement you can take, but B and C have a controversial role. It can boost your immunity, but but balanced diet is more important. And follow the 6-day rule also. So take multiple times, take food multiple times in small volume. Don't skip meal. Don't skip your insulin. Don't skip your regular tablets. And remember, along with the blood sugar, diabetes patients also suffer commonly from the hypertension as well as other cardiovascular disease like ischemic heart disease, heart failure, etc. So treatment of all should be under well control too, so that you do not require hospitalization or ICU care, because diabetes and hypertension, if both are present together in a COVID patient, then chance of mortality is multiplied many times. So control of the blood pressure is also important. So you have to be self-sufficient. You can measure your blood pressure by home blood pressure monitoring machine. You can measure your blood glucose. You can take account of your fluid intake, and all you have to just inform your doctors what to take, so that you can avoid the visit to his clinic or hospital, because visiting hospital or clinic will increase your chance of acquiring infection many times. And so that stay at home, consult the doctors online or take the help, and also give a list of persons who can help you if you require quarantine. Take and also 14 days you have to be quarantine if you acquire COVID. So supply of insulin, supply of all the anti-diabetic, anti-hypertensive drug, you have to ensure that at least 14 days supply is there in your home, so that you do not uh, feel short of drugs, short of medicines, and also short of other essential things. So keep a stock of drugs, so that you can have at least 14 days extra stock, and don't skip. That's why, because so that no drug is skipped. And if you have a wide fluctuation of the blood glucose, it is better to avoid the sulfonylurea, better to avoid SGLT2 inhibitor, DPP4 inhibitor. I mentioned that it can be a very effective drug, and as well as it can prevent the chance of developing the significant ARDS. GLP-1 receptor agonist, that is also commonly used now in patients, particularly who are having increased cardiovascular risk, increased risk of obesity. So another point, diabetes with obesity is also so obesity is also another risk factor of developing serious illness. So most of the patients who acquire serious illness or mortality, they are obese. So diabetes, obesity, hypertension. So all the lifestyle diseases are actually, they are increasing the risk of COVID serious illness or mortality in the COVID. So we have to be very cautious, so that our diabetes, blood sugar is well controlled, our blood pressure is well controlled, our ischemic heart disease is well controlled. By we have to take statin, don't stop that statin drug, the cholesterol lowering agent, and we have to hydrate it properly, because unless you have a kidney problem. So in kidney problem, always ask your doctors what should be your adequate amount of the water. But in kidney problem, overhydration is contraindicated. But in other patients who are having normal kidney, hydration is important, because during this time blood glucose is little bit on higher side, and you require more water, because unless you are having adequately hydrated, then chance of developing other comorbidities will increase. Like, so most commonly, if patient is you are already on the some diuretics or SGLT2 inhibitor, then chance of developing this euglycemic ketosis is also more. So, and regarding the pioglitazone alpha glucosidase inhibitor, they are not contraindicated, but GLP-1 receptor agonist, it has been found that they are having causing significant nausea, anorexia. So in during COVID patients, though the GLP-1 receptor have some anti-inflammatory role, but so during this infection, already patients are having less appetite. It is better to avoid GLP-1 receptor agonist. So once again, I am stressing insulin, short-acting or long-acting insulin. Short-acting long-acting is preferred because of less fluctuation of the blood glucose. But if you have, after taking long acting insulin once a day, if your postprandial blood glucose is high, then you can take one short acting insulin before lunch or before the major meal to control your blood glucose. Okay, so follow these steps and be cautious, but don't panic. And managing diabetes is most important. Managing hypertension is most important. Chance of acquiring infection we cannot prevent totally, but we can help others. So we have to be very cautious, so that we can do not spread the infection to the others. Hand washing, washing your and exercise, washing your everything. So always wash your hands before touching your face or mouth. It is already known to you many times, but this is actually the measures which can take. Wearing mask is also, it is now called that it is not also very protective. So washing hands, and with soap preferably, before touching your face, mouth, and nose, eyes. That is most important to prevent infection. And during your coughing or sneezing, you have to wear mask so that you do not spread infection to others. So for preventing your own infection, use soap and sanitizer so that you don't touch inadvertently your face or mouth or nose. But also you have to be responsible citizen. That's why you have to wear mask so that you do not spread infection to others while you are talking or coughing or sneezing. If you are having cough or having with sputum production excess phlegm, then there is lung injury. You have to consult the doctors so that because lung injury, developing ARDS is actually the most dreaded thing in the COVID, and we can prevent that if we are taking this take care of our symptoms properly. So this is my message to you for treating the diabetes patient, which is very important, and hypertension also. AC inhibitor, everything is not, nothing is unsafe. If blood pressure is well controlled, continue the same medicine. But if blood pressure is not controlled, take consultation of your doctor so that it is under control. Because controlled blood pressure, controlled blood sugar, if your blood sugar, blood pressure, heart failure is under control, then you have very less risk of developing serious illness. If you have any question, you can ask me. Should I stop now? End live video. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, and in live video, I can share it to my patients who are not. Okay, yes, 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 you can give that. Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, okay. No, no hurry. Okay, okay. Thank you.